but I am not. Stopping isn't actually an option. The only way I stop is if I'm incapacitated or dead. That's it. If my regular job paid me $10 million a year, but they also said I could not podcast, they said I could not do this work, I'd say no, because I would rather die than not see this all the way through. I might be done after season 1 or season 2 or season 7. I'm getting there. This is a terrible, terrible experience, but the greatest experience of my life. This is Visionary J. Thomas.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Visionaries Only. My name is Alesha Smith, and I am honored, privileged, I guess happy, excited
I guess so.
to have the opportunity to interview my friend, mentor, brother, play cousin, the genius that is Jelani Thomas. Jelani, welcome to your own show, Visionaries Only. Clap it up for him.
To use the government. Thank you. The government. I go by J. Thomas on this show, but all right, I'm going with Jelani for the sake of this.
I'm sorry, J. Thomas.
No, it's all good.
J. Thomas.
It's all good.
J. Thomas. So what? It's Mental Health Awareness Month this month. I don't know if you know that. You know that?
I do know that. Yeah.
Okay.
I was aware. Yeah.
All right. So, what are some things, or what's something that you've done this week that was kind? Whether it was something that you said or that you've done to yourself to show kindness. What was that?
You picked the wrong week for this one.
Uh-oh.
No, this week was tough. I guess maybe that's the universe's way of trying to get me to be more kind to myself by acknowledging on my own platform. This is weird. I'm never in this seat, so I'm a little uncomfortable.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, this week has been tough. So combination of work being tough, started playing in a league, basketball league, and first game was great. Game winner, all of that, it was great. At the game winner at the buzzer too, it was amazing. But unfortunately left with a sore knee, and that was just like such a big mental toll because I have a long history of injuries playing basketball. So that was really tough. And then God tried to drown New York last week. So my house, there's a lot of water penetrating the house. So that's like super frustrating for all the homeowners out there. I know you feel me on this because I've always said like your whole job as a homeowner is to keep moisture out of your house. So I say all that to say, kind of got hit from a lot of different sides this last week. So it was tough. Being kind to myself though, I think the words that you tell yourself are really important. Like what you tell yourself, your communication. One of the episodes that I had previously with entrepreneur, this woman named Keisha, she talked about whatever you say after I am, you become. And that really resonated with me. So I'll admit that I haven't been super kind to myself, but what I will say is how I dealt with the stress. And this is the first time I can actually acknowledge that I have been stressed over this last like week and a half, 2 weeks. Something I started doing was journaling. I don't journal. Like I've tried it. It didn't work for me. And it didn't work because I was using my phone. I was journaling on my phone, which I don't think is a great idea.
Yeah.
So I got a little notebook and I started writing this stuff down, like writing my thoughts out. And that to me is the kindest thing I can do, is acknowledge that what I'm dealing with is real, writing it out in a way to sort of unpack it. So maybe not the best way, maybe not the best like tangible advice in terms of like being kind to yourself, but it's kind of what I've done.
Yeah. And I think half the journey is realizing when you're not kind to yourself. Yeah. So you being able to acknowledge that and then find the power in journaling is amazing. So hopefully you continue doing that.
Hopefully, man.
When do you usually journal? In the morning, at night?
No, I don't really have a set time, honestly. Like one day it was after work, like everybody in the office was gone. I just sat at my desk and did it. Today I didn't have as much time. But I felt like I had to get like 2 thoughts out. That's the other thing too. I kind of look at it like like I just want to be able to remind myself of where I was at a particular time. So like writing it out was super helpful because even if it was quick, like I look back at those like 2 little notes and I'm like, oh, I remember that. So even if it's the next journal entry, I could just like follow it up. So it's just like really time stamping my mentality from day to day is really the key point, even if it's like a small little summary. But yeah, definitely no set time. I just try to make time for it.
Yeah, no, that's huge. I think I've been consistent, but not as consistent with journaling. And I think exactly what you mentioned, like that timestamp portion, to be able to look back and when you're in it, you feel like you haven't made any or done anything of substance, but like to look back a month, a year, some of the stuff that I complained about, I'm now being able to move. So I'm excited to check in on you on your journaling.
I know. Journey. Yeah. Now that I've said it out loud, I know I'm going to get questions about this in our calls. You'll be like, cool. Did you journal? Did you do your work?
Exactly.
Yeah. You're going to be checking up on me like we're in school.
Because you always do that with me. So
yeah, that's true.
I have to make sure I send that same energy.
Balance is important.
Absolutely. So jumping into it, we are on the Visionaries Only Podcast. And I think I'm super excited to hear from you. And I know you mentioned when you interview folks, you tend to speak or kind of like when you're building out the interview questions, you kind of create a theme around who these people are, who their life or what their life kind of means. And it was kind of easy for you in a sense in this podcast being Visionaries Only because I've always seen you as a visionary. But before we jump into that, I would want to know your definition of what is a visionary and why Visionaries Only? Why do these spaces need to exist?
Visionary. Yeah. So I'll tackle the first part. I struggled with that because I thought that creating this platform, it was going to be like exclusive, make this feel like some sort of exclusive club. Like if you don't see yourself as a visionary, don't even bother watching. I actually think it's more of a call to action to think more and create a vision for yourself. So when I was struggling with whether to name this the right way, my girl, Ty, shout out to you. I know you might be listening. Ty when I was discussing it with her, what we came to was that like at every point in your life, you can have a vision for what you want it to be. So, I'm using this as an example. This is no disrespect to anybody, but like if you, for example, is like sometimes your starter job is like working in fast food. There are some people that work at Chick-fil-A that their vision is to own a franchise, right? But then there are some people that have a vision for making sure that my kid goes to college, right? It's just having a goal and visualizing that goal. And it's been super helpful for me. I think one of the things that was that I thought about when thinking of visionaries specifically was, I remember one of my idols, Kobe, God rest his soul. He talked about the pressure of game-winning shots, and he said like from when he practices the same move that he does in the game for the game-winning shot, he's thinking 5, 4, 3, 2. He's thinking of the crowd going crazy, the crowd booing him. He's at an opposing team's court, right? He's thinking of all of these things. He's visualizing the moment before it even comes. That to me is a visionary. And I think there are like medium size, large, small visions. And just like goals. So they're movies for your goals. Right?
It's a bar. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have your pen and paper out. I love that one. They're movies for your goals. Okay.
These are visions are movies for your goals. And I think that's super important to me because we talk about representation, how it matters, how seeing yourself matters. Like seeing your goal matters. Like seeing, you know how many times, listen, I'm going to say this here in case it ever happens. One of my goals is to be on a stage doing this show, a very intimate platform, 150 seater. And when I went to go see Neil Brennan perform in this intimate space, everyone left, and I sat and I watched that stage. And immediately my mind started to shift my perspective from watching the stage to watching the audience. And that to me is what it means to create a movie for your goals. And because I see it now, I'm like, that gotta be a vision from the future, because I know it ain't happened yet. So that's why that's why the visionaries part of this podcast makes the most sense to me, and it's the most concrete. And just to wrap it up with the Visionaries Only, like why this platform exists, it's to inspire, it's to promote purpose, and I want to give people exactly what I wish I had on a consistent basis growing up. I wish I had this level of intimate understanding of people doing incredible work, because I watched Kobe work tirelessly as a basketball player, but I didn't know who the man behind it. And it wasn't until platforms like podcasts, interviews, and stuff like that, I started to really peel it back. And I was like, oh, he deals with the same stuff I deal with. He not superhuman. None of us are superhuman. So if I can humanize somebody doing what seems to be superhuman work, I'm hoping that I could build a whole new army of superheroes.
I love it. No, as you were talking, the bar from Meek Mill, if you want it, you got to see it with a clear eye view. Like, you got to be able to see it. And you semi-answered this question, but I kind of want you to dive in it a little bit more. Do you think that everyone is a visionary, or do you think, do you think everyone is born a visionary, or people are born visionaries, or do you think that it's a skill in the sense that it can be acquired? I'm here for the nuance as well. So you let me know what you think.
I think it's both. I think it could be both. I think LeBron James was born to play basketball. I think what Steph Curry does is a skill that was learned. You can't teach 6'8", right?
You cannot.
But you could teach 6'2". There's a lot of 6'2s running around here. That's a function. Steph is a function of just like ridiculous work ethic. Like, that's insane. So with visionaries, the way that I as I said, like, everyone, I'm hoping that everyone has a vision for what they want their life to be. But that's taking a step back. Like, that's essentially asking everyone to have goals, right? And having goals and then committing to them, two different ball games. I've met a lot of people with goals. I only met a few committed people in my life, right? And commitment means work in spite of, and put anything else. Put anything after in spite of. Work in spite of sadness. Work in spite of loneliness. Work in spite of death in my family, right? Like, whatever it is. And it's not working yourself until you're, you work yourself to the bone. And
I was going to mention that.
No, it's not like working yourself into the ground. What it means is that there is I see something down the road. I'm not going to stop moving in that direction for anything. However, there are things that might slow me up. One day I'll walk 6 miles per hour. The next day I might walk 1 because I'm tired. And the next day I might stop completely with the knowledge that tomorrow I'm coming back again. But I am not. Stopping isn't actually an option. The only way I stop is if I'm incapacitated or dead. That's it. That is commitment to me. That's commitment in your relationships. That's commitment in your work. And commitment, forget the term work. Let's take that out. Everything is work. Relationships are work. Our platonic friendship is work, right?
A lot of work.
Yeah. Look at us. We're working right now in our friendship. We're still working, right? Being a mentee is work. Being a mentor is work. Being a teacher is work. All of that stuff is work. So let's take work off the table. I'm talking about purpose. Commitment to purpose. You fill in what your purpose is, and what you need to do to get to fulfill your purpose. And then you put, or under that is all these bullet points of everything you got to do it. Overall, over all of that, at the top of that is a big word of commitment. That to me is a learned skill. Some people are naturally really good at commitment. And for all my people in relationships or seeking relationships, you understand how difficult commitment is. Commitment can be really hard and can be a learned skill. Some people have it naturally, some people don't. So to answer your question, yes, I think it's a learned skill and you can be born with it, but it got to come from a burning desire of purpose. And essentially somebody asked me like, why do I do this show despite the fact that it's not pulling any revenue in? It definitely doesn't make anything close to what my regular job does, right? I have to work outside of my normal hours. Why? How are you staying this committed to it? I said, and this is no exaggeration, I said, if my regular job paid me $10 million a year, but they also said I could not podcast, they said I could not do this work, I'd say no. Because I would rather die than not see this all the way through. I might be done after season 1 or season 2 or season 7. I'm getting there. I'd rather die than not do it because life is fragile anyway. I could take your salary now, but doesn't mean that I'll actually survive to make it through. So
yeah, no, I think all of that speaks to purposeful work. And as I mentioned before, you literally embody the visionary. The work ethic that you spoke about, like, y'all, I'm not lying. He really does this. he really does this. The commitment piece that you spoke around, like, he really is that. And it's so hard to learn if you don't already have it. So I'm always impressed by just your work ethic and your drive and your ability to, though other folks may not see it, and I think that's something we should definitely hit on. What happens when people don't see the vision and you're pushing and you're pushing and pushing towards something that folks are like, yo, you got to let it go. How do you deal with that piece of the visionary journey of folks not exactly seeing your goal or your vision? What are your thoughts on that?
I'm laughing because a part of me felt like this question was coming up, not because I knew you were going to ask it. It's because I'm telling you, this might sound weird. I feel so in tune with the universe that when things happen to me, I'm like, I think there's a reason why this happened. And I felt like it was going to connect with today. So I'm going to just say that.
Shout out to the universe.
The universe, man.
Shout out to God.
What happens when they don't see your vision? They're not supposed to.
That's my bar. I love that one.
They're not supposed to. Unless you have my eyes, you can't see what I see. And I try to give grace because I remember Will said this so passionately, and I want to say it passionately like him. Hold on, I'm going to say it.
Go ahead.
Nobody knows what you are. You don't even know what you are. That's what he said.
Just like that.
Yeah, like he Will got the animation. Like, but yeah, I try to give grace in those moments, especially if it doesn't, if what your opinion is doesn't impact me. Here's the thing. I've always said this. What's my line? If you don't know me personally, I can't take nothing you say personally.
It's one of the first things you said to me.
I don't take nothing personal from somebody that don't know you personally, because it's a waste of time. Because I mean, ultimately, somebody can have an opinion about you, but the only thing that actually changes is how you feel. That's the only thing that actually changes. And the reason, the thing that happened to me that's interesting. Why you asked the question about what happens when they don't see your vision. I told you I joined the basketball league, right? First, 3 minutes left in the game, non-contact play. My knee starts just sharp pain. Feels like I tore something. I didn't tear anything. I went to the doctor, find out it's jumper's knee, essentially. Like I think it's plantar tendonitis, whatever. Okay. Inflammation, essentially. hurts like hell. The doctor's like, you got to go to physical therapy. Excuse me. For those that don't know, I was in physical therapy for a year. Between 2020 and 2021, rehabbing my right knee. So now I'm rehabbing. Now I got to rehab the left one, right? Now, in most scenarios, you're like, man, you're 32. Not to say that we're so old, right? Not to say that, but it's like, man, maybe you should just like hang it up, be a coach, do something like that, right? I'm like, nah, I can't. And I'm telling somebody about this, and I'm like, yeah, man, the injury bug came for me again. Season starting out so good. Person says to me, man, you might have to give it up, man. You might have to give up basketball. Like, play a different sport, man. Like, do something different. Do something else. And in that moment, I was hurt because it's somebody that's close to me and I love them. I'm like, why would homie say that to me, man? Like, but I realized they saying that because they love me, right? They don't see what I see. They're telling me for my own good, I'm trying to protect you and preserve your body. Please stop doing this. Maybe you should just stop. And I ain't gonna lie. I took offense to it and I was upset. And the only thing I wanted to do was like, I'm gonna prove them wrong. I'm gonna prove them wrong. I'm gonna prove wrong. It's the wrong attitude. It's the wrong attitude. I shouldn't get this motivated off of what somebody says.
Word.
Right?
Yeah.
So I had to sit back in my vision and say, what do I actually want? I want to be able to play until I say I'm done. They don't understand the vision. That's cool. But guess what? When I'm hoisting up a championship after winning with my team in the games that I played, they'll understand. And I had to sit them down and tell them, look them straight in the eye and tell them, like, my brain does not register quit. It doesn't. I know what you was trying to do, and I'm not even mad at you. But I want you to understand how I operate. I ain't going to quit. Like, I'm just not. Life ain't worth living if I'm going to just quit something I love to do. So, if you ain't got my eyeballs, I didn't expect you to see. Bars.
Put it on the t-shirt, ladies and gentlemen. Nah, I absolutely agree. I have this phobia of like what the day when I can't play basketball anymore will look like when I like literally. Okay. It's scary for me, like to sit on the court. I'm gonna just boohoo and cry. So taking in these moments now where I still feel a little achy in the knees, but I can still play. Yeah. I don't take it for granted because I know there will be a day where it won't always happen. I can't always jump and dunk on Jelani like I used to. Like can't take them to the basket and crush them like I usually do. So we got to preserve in the time. And as you mentioned, people can't see your vision. It ain't their job to.
What do you do when people don't see your vision?
What do I do? You know, I think it really used to frustrate me, especially in the career that I'm in, where like literally there is no blueprint. There's like you got to create. So it was frustrating to hear people like wanting me to go to a safer role, but as you mentioned, like it's not their job to. So I kind of pivoted, and as you mentioned, like not being motivated by the no's, it was more motivated by me and like intrinsically what I got going on, and also the people that are supporting me, because there are people that aren't, but there's also a number of folks that want to see me win. So thinking about that, thinking about where I'm trying to be, where I'm trying to go, but then also the folks that love me and want to see me win, that being the motivation rather than the contrast. So I think that's been helpful in my route.
That's good. I'm glad. You know that you and I, a constant talk we have is about the opinions of others and the story that we tell ourselves about what people think about us. And I keep telling you, more times than not, people ain't think about us. They got a lot of stuff going on in their life. Think about all the stuff you got going on in your life. They ain't think about us.
I don't know what you think about, because folks think about me. They think about me often. They do. But no, absolutely. Absolutely get the point. actually going backwards. I want to hear your visionary origin story. So you know how every villain has an origin story? Like, what was a moment where you was like, yeah, I can call myself a visionary? I think, as you mentioned, I won't go into giving you any hints to the answers that I'm thinking of, but okay. What was your visionary origin story, if you had to like name it?
Damn, this how people feel when I ask them a good question. Damn, that's a great question. My visionary origin story. Ooh, you seem like you knew you had a story.
No, I don't. But I will say this: I think you would you call yourself a visionary? Because I've been naming you and calling you a visionary all this time. Would you call yourself a visionary?
I think so. Yeah,
okay.
I'd say so.
And I think there's some boldness, some confidence that you have to say that you are a visionary. Just like, remember when you would attach like activist to my name and spoken word artist, and I was like, yo, it's kind of for real. I don't want to like write that. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, that's me. So I think, what was that moment for you when you could say, I am a visionary? Maybe it's looking back on your life earlier. Maybe it's like now, but like, what was that? Like, yeah, I'm a visionary.
You know what? There's two moments. One really a little insignificant. One much more significant. I'm trying to think. I'll just talk about this one that was really big for me. And the confidence part is right. Man, confidence will take you where skills won't. And when we was working at BCS, there was a time where it's a nonprofit. There was a time when around Christmas times we used to get a lot of donations and gifts, right? And this is right before you started working there. This is right before you started working there. And we had this van full of gifts. And we had drivers that would drive to the different locations. It's like 7 locations with this van. And I'm talking about the type of van I'm talking about is beep, beep, beep kind of van. The one that make noise when it back up, right? So I'm like, we need a driver. Looking around. The driver that we needed, he ain't here. I'm like, what's happening? Oh, yeah, he got pulled to do X, Y, and Z. I'm like, yo, the gifts got to get out. It's Friday. We got to get it out today. It's like, all right, they're like, you could drive it if you want. All right, man, give me the keys. I get up in the van. The van is hella old. It's so old. So the seatbelt already kind of janky. It only got 2 seats. Everything in the back is just like for the gifts and stuff. So I load the van up and I turned the ignition on, and I'm looking at the fuel tank. Every car to start on E, and when you turn it on, it go to the gas. It to go to where it is, right? And I turn on the gas, and that thing don't move from E. I'm like, oh shit! And then the check engine light is on. I'm like, oh, is this the day I die? Like, what? Oh what do I do?
It's a lot.
Let me tell you, it took me a minute just to do a U-turn on this small block with this big car. Beep, 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 backing that thing up. And man, so I started driving, and I have to talk to myself the entire time to not lose my cool. And being an only child, talking to yourself ain't really that. I mean, that's what we do. And I'm driving this thing, and it's cold outside. It's December, so it's cold outside. I finally get to the gas station. I get to the gas station.
Sound all bad.
I get to the gas station, and the way that the pump is, not the pump, the actual the fuel tank. So I got the pump, and I'm trying to put it inside the thing, but the way that the gas tank is, the nozzle, You can't just put it right inside.
That's crazy.
For whatever reason. And I'm like, yo, what kind of, where they get this van from? Yo, like, what kind of van is this?
That is wild.
So I have to go to the gas station, like go inside the station and get like a nozzle for, you know, like it's like a funnel to pour the gas into the thing for it to go down into the gas tank, right? So I pour. I'm like, I gotta be at least half tank at this point. Close it up, spend my own money, by the way, just putting it out there, and then get inside the van. You know that it didn't move from E again. It didn't move. It didn't move
all
from
of that.
E. I turn it on. I'm like, it's gonna get to half tank, right? It's gonna get to at least half tank. That joint did not go anywhere. I'm like, I'm gonna get stranded. But I'm like, you know what? There's gas. I know there's gas in here. It's not showing on this thing. Check engine light is on. I don't know what's wrong with the engine. I'm just like, I'm going. And it was through that experience of like weathering the storm of that nonsense. Driving a big truck in Brooklyn. It's pretty tough.
Yeah.
Crappy roads. You know, all of that, right? And once I got it done though, I was like, there's nothing you can't do. Like, and this was something that was physically and emotionally draining because at this time, I should also mention, I'm in my early 20s, right? I'm like 22. And I'm like, this is my first job out of college. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. And that moment really cemented, like, I always go back to that moment, like, man, if you could go through that nonsense, delivering these gifts like a ghetto ass Santa, like you can absolutely Black Santa, big Black Santa energy with a hoodie on, and you can do that, sweating bullets in the cold weather. Like you could weather the storm with all of these things, no pun intended, right? So that was one of those moments where, because I think being a visionary is all about confidence, and then the commitment side. I don't know that there was a particular moment. I just know that, I guess I could say, you know what? No, I'll say that one of the moments was starting the first podcast at Flatiron School when I built that platform. Once I got it done, and I was like, yo, this is exactly what I sought out to do, and I did it. Like I really did it. Okay. What's the next thing I could materialize into the world? What's the other thing I could speak into existence? So that was another, like actually doing it, like creating the movie of your goal. That's huge. So yeah, those were the two moments for me.
No, that's amazing. The story with the van is wild, but definitely on par with the organization and what we had to deal with. So definitely makes sense. Shout
out to VCS, man.
Shout out.
Great.
So you mentioned your time in the nonprofit sector. You are now you're now in tech, but kind of speaking about your journey in general, career wise, like what was some growing pains that you've experienced? I feel like I met you at a time where, in my eyes, like you seemed very seasoned, but I know you would never call yourself seasoned at that point. No. I just thought that you were just the professional. You knew how to lead. You were great with the team. For those of you who don't know, he was my first supervisor when I moved to New York City. So yeah, I guess what were some early career growing pains that you've kind of dealt with?
I appreciate you thinking that I was seasoned and not making it up as I went along. In every experience, I just tried to think like, what would I want in this scenario? Okay. And then I just plain outright asked you guys, what do you want out of this experience? And then if I just marry those two things, I think you end up with a pretty decent result. So, but growing pains, man, is so many, so many growing pains. I'd say like I can bucket them. They're growing pains that you absolutely have to experience, like bumping your head wise. There's experiences that you experience because you keep thinking that people think you're dumb.
Yep.
What you guys don't know is that I just hit Alesha in a part of her body that she.
You don't have to let the whole world know.
I hit her hard just now. I hit her hardest just now. I'm sorry. I didn't mean
I cannot stand him.
That hit her soul.
He's correct.
So like there's stuff you have to bump your head on, just growing pains like that. The stuff that it's situations where you just make mistakes and you think, and it's small mistakes that you could have avoided, and you have to wrestle with like, damn, do these managers think I'm stupid? And I think for me, the experience with the bumping your head stuff, that's like the truck situation where you're up against like, shoot, I don't know if maybe I just didn't plan this right. Maybe it was my fault that I didn't like express like how much of a priority getting somebody to actually deliver these gifts are. So I'll step in and make up for the mistake that I made. Didn't even tell anybody that I was leaving either. I just said, oh, I just need to do this. And it's like the day's almost over, so they'll just think I left. So I just left and I just went to do it. Mind you, I wasn't done till like 8 o'clock, but whatever. That's a whole nother story. I'm driving all over Brooklyn with this big ass van. Jesus.
I'm triggered right now because I remember those days.
Right. And I was hungry too. And I don't think vans fit well into drive-thrus. So I wasn't going to go stop at McDonald's for, but whatever. But anyway, that was bumping my head. There's been so many experiences where I felt stupid. And I was like, oh my God, that was such a silly mistake. Even at my job now, like I make mistakes and I'm like, man, that was so dumb. That was just so dumb. But the difference is when you go through it enough and you realize that your worth, somebody isn't determining how smart you are off of one situation. They're taking the totality of your experience into consideration. And they're like, well, she's human, so perfection isn't what we're expecting from her. We got her because we think she's talented. We got her because, I'm talking about you particularly because I know this resonates with you. Did I mention that it resonates with you? They're evaluating you off of the totality of the work that you've done and not these one singular moments. And then probably the biggest hurdle that I got over in these last few years is, like in my core, in the depths of my soul, I truly do not care what you think. That's just, if you don't know me personally, I just don't care. And that is the most liberating thing on planet Earth. I don't know if for anyone watching, like, please, I would implore you to take a daily stab at not giving a fuck. Okay.
Emphasis. Wait, rewind. Say it one more time so the people know.
I would implore everyone to take a daily stab at just truly not giving a fuck. There's a great book by Mark Manson called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. One of my favorite books ever because it says you have a limited number of fucks to give. Don't give them all out to situations that don't matter. You only got like 5. I'll give you 5 a day. I'll give you 5 a day. Use them wisely. And that to me was like the biggest hurdle. Once you get over that, to me, everything starts to become gravy because all of our like hurdles are like really tied to someone else's opinion of you. Whether your manager, whether it's yourself, right? Damn, I was really stupid. You know what? I don't really give a fuck about being stupid. All right, I'll be stupid sometimes. All right. It is what it is. So, yeah, I don't know if I have like a specific struggle besides that truck story. That's a really good hurdle. But I just know like those are the buckets that I think my struggles have always kind of lumped into. And those are some, especially pivoting careers. Like feeling stupid is a part of my job description. Like in tech, what? Man, please.
No, I think what you're hitting on is like authenticity and being comfortable enough to mess up and be yourself. And I'm interested in knowing throughout your career, like folks love Jelani, y'all. I tell him this all the time. He just walks into the room. Everybody want to talk to him. Everybody wants to speak with him. They just love. Yes, it is. He just has that. I don't know, the aura, the glow. What is it about you that people like? I don't know. But I guess my real question. I'm clowning him, but you know I love him. My real question is, how have you gotten so comfortable? This is why we can't interview each other. Yeah. Okay, I'm trying to be serious.
Go ahead, Gail.
Right, so how have you gotten comfortable being your authentic self in spaces that throughout in any room that you're in? How have you gotten comfortable just being yourself throughout your career?
There was Brooklyn College. There was a career fair, and we were trying to get internships. At least I was trying to get an internship. Some people were trying to get jobs. Some people getting internships. And I was working at the career center at the time, and I kind of knew. I was kind of around people that were looking to change their career, not change their career, trying to get into their first job and doing interview prep and stuff like that. So I was really, really accustomed to hearing people pitch themselves. And I can't tell you how bored I get of hearing the same pitch over and over the same way. So I was in line for this internship at the Better Business Bureau. And I was like, I'm a business major. I'm going to get into business bureau. All right, cool. Let me try that. And it's like an assembly line of people in front of me, all in their best like suit and stuff like that. I was in like a button up or whatever. And each person, I'm going to try to act it out a little bit. Hold on. Each person walks up and they're like, say you're the Better Business Bureau. They're like, hi, my name is so-and-so. And I'm about to graduate at this point. My major is this. Here's
super scripted.
Here's my resume. Hi, my name is so-and-so. Like, it's just like an assembly line, right? And I was like, ew. It was like a human assembly line. And it wasn't because it wasn't anything wrong with them. Each one of them is super different. Each one of them has personality. Each one of them has a unique perspective and something to bring to an employer. But they were nervous, and rightfully so. You're essentially walking up to be judged. I get it. I just sat back. I saw what was happening with that, and I was like, nah. I heard the guy give the same speech over and over. Well, this is what we do. Da 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 da. Well, this is what we do. Blah 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 blah. When I got to him, before he even said anything, I said, I'm gonna save you the speech. I heard it. I was in line for like 5 people before. I'm gonna save you the speech. I know what you guys do. I'm a business major. This is what I'm trying to do. And I think like working at the Better Business Bureau will help me with that. Like, I'm super interested in it, but can I ask you a question? And my question was really specific, right? And that came, taking a step back, from honestly being an only child. Because as an only child, I didn't have a big brother to like talk up for me. I had to speak up for myself. My parents told me about speaking up to myself. My father, I remember distinctly, my father took me to the corner store, and I asked him, I was like, Dad, I want like a lollipop or something. And he said, I don't work at the store. I know, but you like the one with the money, so I was just asking you so you could ask him to give me a lollipop. He's like, no, ask the man that work at the store. It's like, all right, cool. So I was, at a young age, I was told to speak up and ask for what I want. So when I get into a situation at the Better Business Bureau or any interview, you're not doing me a favor. When I get into these rooms with people, I already know what I want, but more importantly, I know what you want. So I just try to acquiesce to it, try to help you out, right? Because I know we could be mutually beneficial to each other. So when it comes to showing up as my authentic self, it's like my authentic self wants to help. My authentic self wants to connect with you, right? And I know that, like every other human on earth, there's something specifically unique about you. And if I'm going to live for 75, 85, 95 years, sure as hell ain't going to live it as somebody else. So, yeah, I just made that choice. And I'll live and die with the consequences of that. So
there's a level of confidence, like even in that answer that you exude, and to hear again that you're an only child and those things being instilled. I love that story you shared about your dad.
Yeah.
Like, tell him you want your lollipop.
Yeah.
You are in the tech space.
Yeah,
you are in the tech space, and right now it's a lot of going on in the tech space.
Bloodbath.
It is a lot of uncertainty. So how do you kind of navigate with that confidence that you spoke so eloquently with? Like, how do you continue to move so confidently?
That was part one
space,
of a 2-part episode for the season finale of the Visionaries Only podcast. It's only right that we go out with a bang.
A couple years ago,
giving this 2-part episode out to all of you who've been riding with us for season 1. Thank you so much. You're so appreciated.
I promise.
And season 1 will be wrapping with part 2 next week.
Went to a pop-up shop, right?
See you soon.
So I'm putting this on camera. This is a terrible, terrible experience, but the greatest experience of my life.